We're live.
Yes. Yes. Jackson.
Yeah.
Welcome in. It's QFTA, Tim McKernan Show podcast. What's the word?
This is good to be here.
Come on in. The water is warm. My name's Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Jackson Bennett Burkett. And we welcome you to participate in the conversation here on QFTA. Questions from the audience. I got to tweet out. I got to read what you tweeted from the TMA account.
Yeah, I feel like a cute boy is just sitting out there, not being tweeted
just
out.
Clip it off right there.
Yeah,
then we can play that.
Notepad. I keep this with me all the time.
Cute
for drops.
boys. This is my gift that I go to. Wow, two young gentlemen are making out. First thing I type in. Yeah, I just focus on an attractive young gentleman, and then that goes out on the Twitter tweets. Let's see what I got here, Jackson. I mean, nothing like a podcast where a guy scrolls cute boy gifs.
This is what the people want, Tim.
I think it's exactly what they want. Participate in the YouTube chat. For those of you who are watching, I guess you probably already know that, but nonetheless, come on in. I got a bunch of emails, and I look forward to answering. I have a call at 2 o'clock. It's 1:04 on Thursday, November 7th, and that means it is 33 years since Magic Johnson's HIV announcement.
Wow, what a landmark date to keep in your mind.
Right.
But that's how
and
your
I
mind
believe that means it's 48 years since I was baptized.
Oh, wow.
These are just fun facts.
Which of those memories sits closer to the top of your head?
Well, one, I was a month and a half old, so I mean, my memory is great.
Yeah. I assume it was different than like a Godfather 1 style of baptism, you know. No family business was taken care of that day.
Are you going to come after my father like Martin does?
No. I think he's cornered that market. By the way, drops
it's a terrible impression.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't sound anything like.
So you agree with that?
But I also don't think your impression of your dad sounds that much like your dad.
But you never hear my dad when he's in one of those moods because my brother Kevin, we do the same impression.
Right.
Even Danny gets into it here and there, which is, I'm not doing that shit, Missy. That's essentially.
Yeah. I've never heard him say that, but
right. But you're not going to hear that because you're going to see the
extremely
gregarious guy. But yeah, if there's like something, and this is where I get it from, like me not wanting to leave my house, truly comes from my father. But the public would go, if you knew both of us,
right,
would go, I get that. Young Tim doesn't want to leave the house. That's totally on brand from what I've encountered. But people find out about my dad, that would fuck him up.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know. We were invited to this party, but your dad doesn't want to go. He wants to watch some NBA game. He's got like $5 on the over. I don't know.
My guy.
What are you guys doing tonight? I'm in the basement. I got $5 on it too.
That's outstanding. No, your Martin's impression does not sound like your dad.
Sounds like Jimmy Stewart.
I like the idea in my mind, my mental theater, that your dad is Jimmy Stewart. Like, I kind of think that's funny.
Which is the absolute antithesis.
Yeah, right. But I think it's just the voice he does make me, because it does sound a lot like Jimmy Stewart.
He said when we started the show, he said he was going to come after me. Like, I wonder what he's going to come after me for. Because I'm like, I don't know what direction. And it was going to be that my dad was like, which is truly, for you don't realize this. But when I got the job at KMOV in 2000, we'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of that coming up here in a few months, which will fuck me up beyond belief that that's 25 years old. That there were some people in the market, many of whom, not many, because most of them are probably not in the business anymore, but you could guess who are not happy that I got it, and therefore they had to go. The only reason he got it is because his dad's a sales guy. My dad was a sales guy at KFNS.
Right.
You know, that's not exactly what the owners of KMOV, you know, a monster corporation by the name of Belo, B-E-L-O, used to own KMOV. Like, the guy sells AM radio in St. Louis? Yeah, we got to put his kid on.
Yeah, getting his good graces.
But that's what I was dealing with when I first started out here, you know?
Yeah.
So Martin's, which, you know, obviously is just outstanding ball busting. Mm-hmm. It harkens back to that era because I really don't catch shit about it. Yeah. But people used to, you didn't graduate from college, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That's an antiquated.
Is it?
Burn, yeah, 100%.
I thought it was then. I'm like, I remember, and so help me, this bothers me to this day, because I made a promise to my mom's mom, my grandmother, that I would graduate. And if that's the only reason I would graduate from college, as crazy as that might sound, it's the only reason is because I told her that I would. But I just don't think that matters like it does.
No.
Like it did, I don't know when, especially for this dumb shit that I do for a living. Did you graduate, I assume?
Yes.
I fucking know.
I did. But no, it's actually kind of like, not in vogue is right, but like there's like a cool element nowadays to like being just short and not graduating and then being successful.
Because that's what I did?
You, William
Brad
Pitt,
Pitt, both Sigma Chi's eyes.
Some other people in the tech industry.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Like finishing being just short and then being successful after is like a way cooler story these days. Way cooler.
I didn't value it. I truly was of the opinion that once I get into journalism school, everything is going to be based on what at the time was a tape, and therefore I'm just like, I'm just not going to go to class.
Right.
Which, with the benefit of hindsight, was super, super irresponsible because you're truly putting all of your eggs in that basket. But in my mind, there was no doubt I was going to be successful in an industry. Even then, it was tough to be successful in. Now, I don't even know what the fuck people are doing. I have no idea why anybody would major in this. When I was down in Columbia the last couple times here over the last month, I wanted to go to the journalism school and just not to like shit on it or do a scared straight thing. Just like I'm curious, what if you're 21 or 22, what you're thinking for 20 years down the road, like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to call the Cardinal games, of course, which didn't happen. But in my mind, that's what I was thinking. And I'm just curious what people are thinking. And I know you've said you have some friends who are in it and they've been successful, especially since they're younger.
Yeah, Brent.
But that was the thought process. But yeah, truly, once I got hired at KMOV, that was, again, we're talking about like 4 or 5 people. But that was the thing. Oh, he only got hired because of his dad. I'm like, my dad sells AM radio. But at the time, 23 years old, and it hurt.
Yeah,
at the time,
absolutely.
But that was kind of the thing. Yeah. So anyway,
TMA origin question. What about the parking lot thing? Where did that originate from?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like that your dad
owns, I believe I've been on the show for all 20 years.
Well, that your dad owns owns the parking lot.
Oh, I think that might have been the cat. Just like it got to a point where we just started mocking the thing. Got it. And then like, Tim's dad owns the station and the parking lots. I think it might have been when we were in Kirkwood at the old KFNS, I think.
Well, when I was listening when you guys were in the Central West End, that was like a joke.
That I own the parking lots then?
That your dad owned the parking lots, yes.
Holy shit. Okay, then I'm wrong.
Okay. I thought you were talking about KFNS before.
No. KFNS in Kirkwood at Woodlawn and Manchester.
Yeah, because it was on Hampton.
That's right.
For the man, the woman.
Yeah. Here's the situation. I have not, outside of the cute boy gif, published. Oh, is the YouTube down?
Shouldn't be. There's people in there.
The hell just? Oh yeah, there we are. I got to tell you, I'm really striking.
If you don't say so yourself.
Yeah. Jackson's high on me with the readers. Should I go with the readers?
Yeah, why not?
Here, take a look.
Yeah.
This is the readers. Here, take off my hat.
Yeah, you look like Stanley Tucci.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Is he considered a good-looking guy?
Yes.
Here's me with the readers. Now you guys can all jerk off to this.
I'm telling you. Yeah. Tucci.
You think it is? I think I'm taller than him, too.
That wouldn't surprise me.
How about the fact that I'm taller than Josh Schertz?
That was a surprise today.
That was a surprise for me.
That was a surprise today. When I greeted him in the hallway, I was like, what do I expect? But I think because he's coaching basketball, you think taller.
100%.
But if you're a coach.
But it can be anybody. It can be the busboy.
Right.
And I'm like, taller than him. I keep note of that.
Yeah.
Were you in the text with me, Pang, and Martin? Was that a TM? I think it was just Martin, or Pang texted me and Martin, I guess, then. You'll have to freeze that to jerk off to it.
You looked a little like Panger, a little there with the glasses and no hat on.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah, with the glasses.
I'm really striking, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And Pang's like, he's sending a kind message about us going to 101. And I just said thank you. Of course, Martin then starts saying, "What's up, my guy?" And I'm not talking to Tim. It's great to hear from you. And then Panger goes, "I love talking to anybody who's shorter than me." And I go, I got to be honest with you. I said, we have unfinished business. It was supposed to be us against him in Maroon at Meadowbrook, and he's still there, he said, which is great. God bless him. He has to be able to diversify your clubs. And I said, and I'm also more than happy to stand back to back with you. I'm coming for all of these guys in the St. Louis athletic community. Darren Pang, Josh Schertz. You line them up, I'll knock them down.
Yeah, I wonder what Marmol's clocking in at height-wise.
I have never had a conversation with him.
Because he's seen, I mean, but that's the thing with these guys. It's like that your reference point with them is pro athletes who might be massive, but he doesn't strike me as a really tall guy.
He played, though.
Yeah, he might be like 6 feet.
But I'm trying to think of other guys that, like Bubba Hart wasn't, but I think he was thought of as being short just because he got a lot of applause and was Caucasian.
I think he got Stubby Clapp by an inch or two.
I got this. When I was working in Little Rock, Stubby Clapp was playing for the AA team there.
Right, you told me that.
Stubby Clapp. Yeah. It's like the score Vikings.
That was the stadium, right, where they would hit a home run and they would
onto
go on
the highway. I think the Angels have a franchise there now.
Heads up if you're driving down the highway.
And everybody's just like, okay, yeah. I mean, we just deal with it. It's a. So I got a bunch of questions. Here's the deal on so many things, and I know I have gotten more no bullshit. I don't know if people think that I make these things up. I have no idea. As maybe everybody's starting to catch on, I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. But I've gotten so many emails or DMs, and some of you are out there. Some of you might be watching this now in the YouTube chat for the QFTA.
Yeah, I just got one today.
People. Oh, you got one for one
today.
Because people want to hear about the 101 thing, but I think people want to hear about kind of like how the sausage was made, for lack of a better term. And so we almost did one last week, but what I told Jackson was this, and this is one of the things that I have learned over doing this stuff for now a quarter century, and with social media as a part of it, I guess, for a couple of decades, really more the last 15 years, is when people are angry on social media, you cannot win.
Yeah.
And I put a period at the end of the sentence. Now, when everything was announced, I knew, well, we debated. I'll give inside baseball, but I got to catch myself on these. So you are responsible today and solely responsible, even though I see Chairman Kurtz in there. So maybe he can like text me if I'm going too deep.
Got it.
Because I worry that I'm just going to start talking, and the next thing I know, I've said something that I wasn't supposed to say, not about my situation, but about like Hubbard's situation.
Right.
Unless you're under the impression that I run 101 ESPN.
You don't?
The Chairman Kurtz said, "Oh man, the readers saved some for the rest of us." Yeah, the first time Chairman Kurtz saw me in the readers, he was a little excited.
Well, he himself wears glasses, and I think, to have you in the
I don't need them for this,
right.
But like if I'm reading something with small print, that's the deal. I don't know. To me, I'm in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm still 14, and but then it's like, oh fuck, I'm 48. I guess this is. I go, hey man, something's going on.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, you're 48. Is there anything else?
You're like, easy there, you quack.
Yeah. But anyway, so this is what I was thinking about doing, and so help me God, and you know this to be the case, I was going to go on the TMA fan page, mm-hmm. which is paradoxically named, and I was going to go, whenever Hubbard made the announcement of everything that was going on,
yeah.
just say, I'll take your questions, and I'm going to sit here from whatever time it is until like 5 p.m., and I'll answer everything. And in my mind, for real, I'm like, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And a couple of people were like, you do what you want to do. I'm just going to tell you, I think that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, whenever they start with "you do what you want to do," it's probably not your best idea.
Now, you will acknowledge, because you believe in honesty in media,
always have,
that you were an advocate of me doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I thought you might back off it, but you were. Mm-hmm. But then what it became was, and so I was talking with Doug about it, and as I've oftentimes said, Doug and I talk about I've had more conversations with listeners about this show and the business of this show than Doug Vaughn. No bullshit. And maybe at this point people believe it, maybe not. Again, I've officially entered my Doug Vaughn Nirvana, I don't give a fuck status. So it's fun. It's fun to be
freeing.
Here. It is so liberating. Holy shit, is this liberating. And we kind of like, I think it'd be good to say something, especially because of the Iggy situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so I wrote something out. I think I sent it to you and Doug.
Yep.
And then Tommy's like, you say whatever you want. Tommy Mattern here at Hubbard. And I'm like, okay. So I typed it out. I'm like, but I mean, it's their business. They're doing this. You know, I'm an employee, contrary to what I guess people think, including, as it turns out, some people in the building like, well, you own the show. And I'm like, yeah. I go, but I don't control.
Right.
And I'm like, God, this is even somebody who works here, who's one of the best people. And I go, that I just own the IP, but I don't control.
Right.
I can promise you that. Let me look directly in the. You know what? I'm going to put the fucking readers back on.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
But I'm going to get down. I'm going to start getting comfortable. Once the readers go in, I get comfortable. If this were 100% my call, I assure you, Iggy would be here. Mm-hmm. There was a period at the end. My understanding, this is going to get to where I was going to go on the social media thing, is I think Chairman Kurt told me this. I think. Chairman Kurt, you can validate this, is that I'm not getting blamed for Iggy on social media. And he looks at all the stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Which is candidly very surprising. Now, you and I know that we're texting with Iggy on a daily basis. Me and you are in a chat with him, and I'm in an individual chat with him, and so on. And the people in this, well, not the people in this building, but the people who are involved know that I wanted Iggy to be. Here is what I visualized, and I told Iggy this. What I visualized was, I feel like if you were looking this straight from a radio perspective for what they wanted to do with TMA on 101, Iggy would be playing out of position for who he is and what he is, which is the most unique radio personality I think you can find in St. Louis. And I don't say that to be superlative because he got let go. It's how I feel. I've texted him that, God only knows how many times when we're bullshitting about stuff. But if you got him there and he's not as engaged or following stuff, then it almost puts him in. You're playing him out of position.
Right.
But if we could have had him, and in my mind, I'm hopeful someday maybe it can happen where he's back, and knowing Martin's going to be a part of it, knowing that Martin's going to light every motherfucker up. Mm-hmm. If you can have me, Doug, Martin, and you at the main, you on running the controls at the main studio dais, and then it's where Chairman Kurt sits.
Yeah.
Now people do know about it. When he's answering the calls, then you can have Iggy back there, kind of like he was at KFNS behind the glass.
Yeah.
Then you can have him as a sniper, because like Artie Lang on the Stern show, when Artie was a part of it, Iggy's the greatest fucking sniper ever.
Yeah.
That's what my vision was, and that's what I wanted to happen, but I understand why it couldn't happen. And to Iggy's credit, once everything went down, he understood. It's not like anybody's like going, "Oh, this is great, good." It's not, it's a situation. Mm-hmm. But, it's not a case of going, "Oh, we don't like Iggy, let's get him out and then let's just take over 101." I think everybody, I guess, I don't know. What I was getting to is I posted that and then I just shut her down, and I still have. Yeah. I don't know what people are saying, but I gather it hasn't been good. I'm not talking about like when I'm on 101 and I'm reading texts, because that weekend, not this recent weekend, the previous weekend after the announcement, I was getting DMs from people I don't know who are going, "Hey, I hope you're doing all right." Mm-hmm. I'm going, "Oh." But since I truly wasn't reading it, I don't know. I still don't know what was being said. And I remember I call a kid, but I guess I was in my 20s, and I remember like coaches would say, "I don't know, I don't read it." And I'd be like, "Sure you don't. There's no way you can't read it." But I'm now actually at a point where I don't read it, and I can tell you it's the case. But the thing is, until you're in a position where people are writing stuff about you, you can't relate to how it actually doesn't affect you, which sounds impossible. Just like it sounded impossible to me. Fuck, I don't know. I think LaRussa used to say, "Oh, I don't listen to that stuff," And I'd be like, "Oh, sure you don't." And then you go, "Oh, yeah." Now I'm looking back on it, I go, okay, he won however many World Series. He couldn't care any fucking less what some dumb shits are saying about him, Right. And so you totally get it. And I'm not saying people are dumb shits for saying it, but I'm talking about us on the radio, like judging his managerial moves.
Right.
But the core issue is this, and I want to hammer if I can. It's not like I've written anything out, and I'll read as many, and I'll answer as many questions as I can. Now my call has been moved to 3, so this is dangerous because we might have some more time. But you can't get mad at people for caring. That's the cost of, you want that.
Yeah.
I've said that before on this podcast. You want people to care, and the emotion is not always going to be supportive.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nature of the beast. It's the price of having something that people invest in. That's the deal. So if you want to complain about that, I suggest not getting in the game. So you have that. And I also don't think you can get mad at people. I mean, you can, but I think it's ill-advised. I think it's also illogical, mad at people for not knowing that which you cannot tell them. So I know you know what I'm saying because you know the situation, but what I'm trying to say is I actually told this little anecdote today on TMA, and Martin was making reference to it, and I don't think he'd have a problem with me saying it, but since I haven't talked to him. But he was talking with somebody, and this person said, you guys have no idea how much you don't know. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, and with one of the things that I'm aware of that hasn't been made public, they can't make it public, and this has nothing to do with this is an organization. They can't make it public for legal reasons. They'd be in big trouble if they did. Now, that's not what we're talking about in our little world situation. But there are reasons things can't be done. And for somebody who likes to just be like, yeah, here's the deal. It's been a totally weird experience to just go completely dark. Mm-hmm. But also, and I don't know, I do with it what you would because it's the truth. It's been liberating to not care, to know that we have nothing to apologize for. If anything, we should be celebrated for an accomplishment of keeping something together through some incredible adversity over the last 2 decades, building something, working our asses off, a bunch of people too, not me, whether it be in sales or on the show, and whether on air or behind the scenes. I mean, you're talking about a lot of people, male, female, young, old, hosts, producers, promotions, to keep something together and have a company go, that's the show we want to put on our biggest platform. So to like catch hell for that, it'll be one thing if it's like, hey, I'm leaving here if I don't go on 101. I couldn't care any less about this. I mean, people at this point now know I could have gone and replaced Rush Limbaugh on KMOX. I don't care about this. I care about doing the show. And in an ideal world, it would have been the group that we were doing the show. That's the truth. And I guess people believe that, which is wonderful. So I don't know what narratives I'm fighting. I just am under the, and I don't even know if I'm fighting anything at this point. Like, if people are at this point like, this show sucks, like, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. If you really think this show sucks, but if that's what you think, be my guest. We're going to be just fine. God bless. Thanks for listening. And if you thought that was the greatest thing ever, I don't know what to tell you, but God bless. Don't know what to tell you. I would tell you 2 things that I am looking forward to changing, and to Hubbard's credit, number 1, the brakes. And Tommy Matter, who runs I guess director of operations is his title. I call him programming director. I don't know if it's the same thing, but anyway, in charge of programming here. It's 10 o'clock on the first show, and he goes, okay, we got to change the brakes. And I think people are like, well, then how long can it take to change brakes? And I have no idea. But there is, so I was actually in a totally unrelated meeting with John Kiowski, who's the president of Hubbard in St. Louis, about 2 hours ago, and he goes, my God. He goes, he's very high on what's taking place. And I don't know if people are or not. I have no idea. But he is, Tommy, and he goes, I think it's going to be not this coming week, but the following week, where they're going to implement 3 brakes from 4. And he goes, and we're even talking about going down to 2 in 2025.
Right.
So, but if you listen, if you're a TMA listener and you turn on the show on the first day we were on, I think that was October 28th.
Yep, Monday.
And you hear that, you go, oh my God, what the hell is this?
Right.
And I don't blame anybody for that. And I was a long-time Stern listener, and he went somewhere, and all of a sudden, what I had loved on the first day changed substantially on a new platform, I'd go, oh my God, what the fuck? Right. And then the other side of it is, if you're a 101 listener, and I'm talking about like a non-TMA 101 listener, and you're not, I do my 1 hour thing, but you're used to Randy Carricker in the mornings, and not only has he been let go, but then you got this shit, you know, and a guy who, if you are familiar with in me, my reputation to the older sports audience is not a good one. It's why I don't get asked to do the banquets. Now, I'm thrilled that I don't get asked to do the banquets, but I'm aware of what it's like. Oh, I'm the porn guy. He has the porn stars in. That's what he does. It's like, okay, whether it's true or not, it doesn't fucking matter. I just know that it's there. And it's like, Randy's gone, and then you got this motherfucker in there. I don't blame, we were talking, Jackson and I were talking about this all air. I don't blame anybody for that. So the fact that there isn't like, hold on a second, they're mad at me, now I'm mad. And when I say I don't care, it's like, I don't blame you for being mad. I'd be an asshole to be like, I understand why you're mad. What I would say to the 101 listener is, now I don't know if they were Balloon Party listeners as well, we got the same kind of reaction we started Balloon Party. And I can actually take you back to July 2004 when TMA started, and the reaction to that, I think, was actually worse than the reaction to Balloon Party when we started what was the Morning Grind, now TMA, in July 2004. So bad, as a matter of fact, and I think we all only had 1 year contracts, so it wasn't like we had super long-term deals, but that there were conversations about firing us within the first couple months. That's how bad it was. This show that now is, you know, what, 240 months old? Holy shit, that sounds long. It sounds longer. I don't know why that sounds long.
That sounds longer than 20 years.
Yeah, and 20 years somehow. But that's what was going on. So, but that was kind of the same thing, I suppose. But here's the thing. The other thing that I said to you, and I would say to whomever that I would be talking with, there hasn't been a thing yet that has taken place, and that's not to say that there won't be, but that's taken place that I have not been surprised by. I expected it all, and that's not to say I know what's going on and you don't. It's just like I knew because I've already lived through 101 people being mad, but I also know how that played out. And, you know, even though I don't know if people are going, oh, they got rid of Balloon Party. I have no idea if that's out there.
I'd be surprised.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, I sometimes have read things about myself and I'm going, wow, that's completely not true. But I guess people believe it and, you know, whatever. But because Balloon Party's success, that played a role in this combined with TMA's success. You know, that's it. You know, maybe there's some narratives that are otherwise being put out there. I have no idea. But this isn't like oh, well, we'll just put these guys in there thing. So there's that. But I've dealt with the 101 anger, and I know how that played out. And it kind of happened it happened within 6 months that we won them over. And then secondarily, I obviously know what happened in July 2004 with a show where it was such uproar at the beginning that they nearly fired us. The difference with even both of those is that there are dollars behind this show because TMA delivers a return on investment for advertisers. And that is, when it's all said and done, the name of the game. Now, I don't know if people like to hear that or not. I don't know what kind of business you work in where return on investment for dollars is not a factor. I'd be interested in it. But this is just like any other business. And because we've been able to do that, which has taken a lot of work, again, I would think that would be celebrated. And maybe it's being celebrated. I have no idea. But the one thing that I would think, but I guess this wasn't going on, at least to the point where a gentleman, his nom de plume on TMA Walrus, number one? Okay. Milagro Tequila Lister of the Month at some point, 2023 or 4 this year?
July or August of 24.
Some call him TMA Kiss Ass number one because he's so positive. I gather he was really upset and had something happen either on the TMA fan page on Facebook or our YouTube chat one of the days, I guess the first day, and he sent me an email apologizing for it the next day. And I said, I gotta be honest, I don't know what happened. And his phone number was at the end of it. And, you know, I got time. The kids aren't home. They're at this farmer's market. And, I don't have to be a part of it.
Yeah, farmer's market.
It puts me in a bad place because I'm like, fall time is here, and it means it's about to get cold. But my wife loves it and takes the boys there, so I got the house to myself. And if Ella Reese hasn't updated anything, I got nothing to do.
I just don't get how I have to pay more for fruit and vegetables at those places, but we're cutting out the middleman. Like, how am I paying more there than the grocery store? I'll never get that.
We're going to swim around in corn. I don't get it. But my wife loves it, and the boys love it, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So fine. So I have time, and I go, you know what? I'm just going to call him. I'm not going to call him. And he's like, whoa, I didn't expect you to call me. I said, I want you to be able to ask anything you want. And I'm going to tell you everything. Now, some of these things I might not be able to say on a podcast or on social media, and I'm not going on social media anyways, so I can't say it there. I mean, I can, but I'm not. So ask away. And I told him. So I said, I used his name, and I don't know if it's on, if he's public with it or not. Is he?
I think he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jake,
yeah.
I said, Jake, we started this thing in July 2004. You and I are talking in October of 2024. I've done 5,200 of these shows. I've hosted 5,200 of these things, and I've loved it every fucking day. No bullshit. There are days where I didn't get sleep and I don't feel good. I'm like, ooh, that wasn't good, but it's because I fucked up. And there have certainly been days, there have been years where I'm dealing with shit with management or ownership that makes life a living hell, truly. But as far as 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., it's been, they could whack me today and I'd be like, holy shit, that's the greatest. To get to work with people you like and laugh and get paid to do it. I mean, how could you ask for anything else in your hometown on top of it? I said, but brother, I've done 5,200 of these things, and you can't jump to a conclusion based on one or two of them. But at the same time, if no one like me or anybody else, not that it would be your responsibility or Doug's responsibility, and I get the sense Martin cares even less somehow, that if nobody's filling the void of information, then how can you be upset with people for coming to their own conclusions? So the binary choice was, do I engage in a fight that I know I cannot win, in a fire I know I cannot control, or do I just, not actually? It's as simple as that. And full transparency, do with it what you want. I think when it's all said and done, I handled it the right way because I could not have won. And and I've said this a little bit on this show, but I realize, relative to the number of people who listen to TMA, it's a percentage when you're talking about this podcast that is less than TMA. What frustrated me in 2013 when the Dan Marshall stuff happened, we had universal support. And then that changed. Now, I've always cited my contract numbers being publicized in the Post-Dispatch as the moment it changed. And maybe that's it, maybe it's not. I don't know. All I know is it's changed. Whereas the audience used to look to rush to our support, now there's a portion of the audience that looks to rush to shit on things. For whatever reason, I don't know. You've made the observation, I guess this is common on Reddit, and I'm not even talking about the TMA Reddit, I'm just talking about in general, that if you have a show that's been on for a while, you also have a community on Reddit that is committed to. Yep. Now, I see it with the Stern Show, but I don't, you talk about with Bill Simmons. And
Simmons has one, Pardon My Take.
Pardon My Take has one. Wow.
Yeah, there's always going to be subreddits.
So it comes with the territory. Sure. But the thing that sometime, I don't know what year it was, that I realized, actually 2019, because I remember it's when the Plowhawk got fired one of those times. Mm-hmm. And I got blamed, which was amazing, but whatever. And then I actually posted a lot of details about, what had gone on. And it was like, it didn't even matter. It's like it wasn't believed. And so it became clear that it didn't matter what I said. It wasn't going to be believed. And while that sucks, because that's no fun, I would imagine, if you are in that position. I can't imagine how many people are in that position, but if you are in that position, and if anything, that's like my thing is hey, this is the deal. You might not like me or what I say, but at least it's the truth. That sucked to not have people believe it or still come up with other conspiracy theories. that I was lying or that this is really what was going on. And it's like, okay, then fine. But it also made it kind of easy because I'm like, okay, I'm just not even going to bother with it anymore.
Right.
You could always say I suck or the show sucks or Jackson sucks or Doug sucks or Iggy sucks or Plowhawk sucks or whatever, fine. But if you're saying something that's not true factually, then I would step in. And then it became clear that it didn't matter what I said. It was not going to be believed. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm just not going to bother with it anymore. And so from a TMA fan page standpoint, and back in the day, we had the Inside STL message board on InsideSTL.com. And then even before then, there was a message board, I think it was called St. Louis Sports Lounge, maybe? I don't know. Where I used to post. You're just like, okay, I'm just not even going to bother engaging. And on TMA, none of us would really even engage there. Personally, I like to engage with the audience, but you can't engage when you know that there's going to be some who just want to like be like, ooh, this is my shot in a public forum,
right?
To like get my like I'm going to come at him, even though I'm just like a fucking 48-year-old bald dad, you know, like, okay, I mean, nice, you got me. I don't know what to say.
With the readers, though, that's
with the readers, maybe people will be intimidated. So,
possibly taller than Darren Pang.
Definitely taller than Josh Schertz, too, and Darren Pang. I mean, this is starting out. There's a little buzz about my height now in town.
Kornfeld is on notice.
Yeah, he made a mistake. So anyway, that's the reasoning why. And by the way, I'm not going to go, now I'm back on Twitter and I've got takes.
Unleashed.
Be ready.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Now that I've lived, my wife and I were out to dinner on Saturday night. I go, I'll tell you what the best part about everything's been so far. Well, a couple things, and I'll share them with the audience too. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, but like, it's one thing to say you don't fucking care. It's another thing to truly not fucking care. And to be clear, as far as the show goes, I can't say I care more than I did a month ago. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, I don't care about the noise because I know the truth. And, you know, this is an accomplishment. This is a significant accomplishment. How things are going to be framed, I can't control it. And even if I went and said, hey, well, here's actually the reason, and let me show you some of the numbers, I can't do that anyway. Those are private. Wouldn't be my place to do it. But, you know, Joey Vitale, actually, and I don't think he'd mind me saying it, the Friday night everything happened. So that would have been the 25th. Mm-hmm. And there's a trunk or treat, you know, farmers markets and trunk or treats.
Tim Sr. coming out a little bit there.
Missy, I'm not going to that shit. You guys can go. That's fine. I got shit. I've been busting my ass all week. So I'm at the trunk or treat, and I see my buddy, Matt Poling. You know Poling. Mm-hmm. Gregarious sort as well.
Very much so.
Works at City. And Joey Vitale. And our kids all go to the same school. And Joey comes up and he goes, congratulations, man. This is so fucking easy. I didn't know all the shit you guys have put up with to keep the show together. But Maddie here was telling me about all this shit. Holy fuck. He goes, I would have bailed on that a long time ago. He goes, this is huge. And he goes, what's wrong? Because I'm just like, yeah, you know. Yeah. And I go, this day sucks, man. You know, this is not a celebration. It just isn't, you know. And I'm not to say like he's like, oh, good. He gets it, but he also comes from professional sports where part of the deal is in order for guys to get opportunities, guys get cut. That's the deal. It's not something, but for me, for us, TMA has usually, like in the case of going to HD2, there was nothing here. We weren't replacing anybody. People weren't losing their jobs. When we went to KFNS in 2016, I don't know what was on at 7 o'clock. I think it might have been Iggy in the treehouse thing that he was talking. I don't know. Okay. But either way, we were bringing over the entire 920 lineup.
Right.
So it was that was something that people were like, okay, to you guys' credit, you took a station that kind of didn't exist in WGNU. It existed, but it was a totally different format in 920, and it was so successful that an owner wanted you to just pick it up and move it over, and you got to bring all of your guys. That was an obvious celebration. But my equity with the public was destroyed because it was revealed that my contract was, and it's like, oh, fuck this guy, you know. And in 2013, when the Dan Marshall shit was going on, and we went to 920. Nobody knew who we were placing, including me. We were programming what was a syndicated station minus some brokered stuff during the day. So for going back more than a decade, anytime this show has moved, people haven't lost their jobs. And this is a different set of circumstances. And you're a really good, you're a great human being.
Thank you.
Great human being. I am focused, I'm more in the Saban Belichick thing. I'm going to win, and that's just the way that it is, and you might not like it, but I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it, and we're going to do it, and then you're going to go, oh, fuck, this guy did it again. But you might not like it, and he's an asshole, and that's fine. But I was not enjoying what was going on in the slightest. And I think people believe that. I would hope people believe that. That's not the way. And I want to make, this is something that I want to make crystal clear. Probably should have been the lead. If Hubbard would have come to me and said, hey, we want to extend you, and you can sit in your closet next to the bathroom, for the next number of years on HD2, I would have been as content as the day is long. It would have been even more content if I could have done it, and you guys could have been in the closet next to the bathroom, and I could have been down in Jupiter. But I knew that was not going to happen. I was absolutely fine with that. They wanted TMA on 101. That's the deal, and that's the way that it works sometimes. But it's not a fun spot to be. I guess it's fine, if you're coming in from out of town, but when you know the people, it's not a fun spot. It wasn't a fun spot for the people in management. That was not a fun day in this building. I think I'm saying things that are obvious, but that's not. So when Joey Vitale's he learned about the backstory, and probably in a lot more detail because polling, was a part of the business. So he lived through some of it. And he's like, you put up with some shit that I just would have, I would have gone, thanks, I'm going to go somewhere else. And now you got 101 for that show after all that bullshit? He goes, I just don't get why you're not happier. And I go, brother, I'm not doing well. And he goes, Timmy. He goes, this is a great day. And I go, I appreciate you saying that. Because he's looking at it, he's not like, I hate Randy.
Right.
That's not what he's thinking.
No.
He's like, I got cut. Guys I'm still close with, they got cut. But then that's how you get, and that's the thing. But that's not my mindset. I was the guy getting cut, except it was on high school teams. I didn't, and I still don't. To this day, I still don't. Even though it's been almost, 2 weeks now. It doesn't seem like it, but that's been the way that it is. So, but getting back to, if they would have said, yeah, you can do HD2, here's the deal, HD2, same deal you had, matter of fact, I would have happily signed it. But they wanted us on 101. That's the deal, and they like, this show is doing what it's doing on HD2. I don't know if there's another show in St. Louis that's on HD2. I'm not trying to disparage those that are. I just don't know if there are.
Not that I can think of.
And they're like, we got to move you, we got to capitalize on it. And I'm like, okay, I get it, and so that's the deal. So I think that that's one of the questions that I've gotten in emails over the last few weeks is, why not just stay on HD2? And that's coming from obviously a TMA listener. It wasn't an option, Right, so
exactly.
That's the business side of the business. But I don't want to just say that's the business, because I feel like I still to this day, I've got a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I still haven't said because I said so. And I'm going to try to complete my parenting by never saying because I said so. And I don't want to say to audience members who care about this show, whether they hate me or they love me, or they hate me and they love you, or they hate me and they love Doug and Martin and you, whatever it is, doesn't matter. That's business. So I want to try to expound upon it to give context, not to try to win you over, because candidly, there's a good chance I don't like you either. And I don't fucking care. But to give you context, that's it. But am I supposed to apologize because we have a successful show? Fuck off. I worked my ass off on this thing. I did. And a lot of other people worked their asses off on this thing who were celebrating this. I had so many past TMA people feeling like they had they had a win by TMA getting to 101, but it was never my goal ever to be like, boy, if we could just get to 101, again, I had the opportunity to go to KMOX. I wasn't like, oh, that's it. That'll show everybody. I don't give a fuck. I want to do my shit. Furthermore, for anybody who thought that, TMA is going to change to conform to 101, let me tell you something, brother. That's not the way that this is going down. Now, I would hope that people can kind of tell that. I think once the breaks go down to 3, you'll be able to tell it more. But they didn't bring us over to go, now, do a totally different show.
Right.
And if that were the case, I don't care what's on the table. Because the binary choice we had, that Jackson knows and Doug knows, is the following. This is the binary choice. It's as simple as this. Stay here or take it in-house. That's it. People are like, oh, buy KFNS. Or, well, I can't go to KFNS. Not interested. And that's not a shot at KFNS. It's just not interested. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested, truly not interested in going to another radio corporation. That is not said as bullshit or as a way to kiss Hubbard's ass. I'm just not. Now, I happen to really like John Kiowski, the market president, and Tommy Mattern and Keith Krause big time. And I will lament the day when they choose to, step down.
Sure.
But John and I have talked about how long he's going to continue to, and Tommy and Keith. I mean, these guys are good people and good at what they do. Not that people in the audience care, but that we haven't always felt that way about situations. But it was as simple as do we stay here or do we take it in house? And we talked about it quite a bit. Do you remember what Doug said? Because I was actually I think of the three of us was more in-house guy than...
I can't remember exactly what Doug said.
I think that's what we do if it ever crashes into the mountain.
Right. Yeah, no.
And I also think, for Doug in particular, not that and I don't want to speak for him, and I don't know if this might sound weird, but it's like we've always kind of been on these, outposts.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to call it.
Yeah.
He goes, it'll be nice to be able to actually reach people.
Yeah.
Doug told the story a couple days ago, might have been a break, I think it was. He goes, I've had more people come up to me over the last week and say, oh, I didn't know you got back into radio again.
While also probably saying, love you on TV. Never know where Doug is.
But so I know that's weird for like the TMA
Right.
hardcore listeners, but for TMA, you had to seek us out to find us. And what I experienced by virtue of Balloon Party was something that I didn't expect. Because in my mind, and I think for a lot of TMA listeners' minds, 101 is hardcore sports, and therefore, if you like TMA, there's a good chance you're not going to like 101. And so you don't even give it an opportunity. I totally get that. I would put myself in that category of what it had been. It's just not my thing. It's not like I'm going, why do people listen to this? I don't listen to it. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. Right. So if people like it, great. I always use the NASCAR analogy. I don't know if that's a good one anymore because I don't know how popular NASCAR is.
F1 would be a better one.
F1 would be better. Okay, or F1 or, for you, NHL, I realize it's a different deal, but you don't watch it, but if other people do, you're not like, why are you watching that? You're just like, good, watch it. Don't give a fuck, I mean, I don't care. You're into Phoenix Marie. I'm surprised, but hey, God bless. If that's your thing, good for you. You might be surprised I'm into Ella Reese. I don't know.
By the way, Phoenix Marie often wears readers.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised by that being your play. But again, I don't want to. I feel like I'm getting into a borderline kink shaming.
You told me when you go too deep. Now you're kink shaming.
Yeah, I'm kink shaming. So right. I got to stand. But with 101, it was either go 101 or take it in house. And I talked about that with the people here, and I'm going, God, I had lunch with the cat. I think it was last week, and I talked to him about that. And he goes, I got a 101. He goes, I got 101 all day. He goes, you got a 101. That's what I mean. But with Balloon Party, what I discovered, and Jackson knows this firsthand, because the first week of Balloon Party, I go, I knew I didn't want to do this, and now I'm stuck, because if I quit, it's going to piss off management, and then everybody will go, I got fired, and I've already lived through that shit before with leaving TV and everybody saying I got fired. And now I'm just fucking stuck, and I'm mad at myself because I knew I didn't want to do it. And then Balloon Party thrived because of you, period. You'll do your thing where you'll be self-deprecating here. But for real, the reason the show worked is because you know me and you know my mind and you know how to get me started. Because otherwise, I'd walked into that studio every day at 10 o'clock and I'd just be like, all right, ask me 6 fucking questions and I know one of them is going to stick and we're going to go and it's going to work.
Yep.
But it's not like I did a damn thing for it. I'd walk up out of here at like 10:01 and you'd hit the mic and at 10:04 I'm doing a show on 101 that I've got no idea what I'm going to talk about, but it wound up working out. Yep. So it wound up happening for both the listeners of 101, us as hosts on 101, and management at Hubbard was, oh shit, this thing's taken off and it's gaining traction. And it wound up having, to get into ratings talk, and I don't even know if you can talk about it, but it did well in that category. Yeah. And so then that put the whole thing on the map. Whereas the main reason, candidly, I did 101 way back when was I'm like, all right, I'm trying to get the cat over here. I'm trying to get the plowboy over here. I already got Iggy, Jackson, and Doug over here. The last thing I want to do is say, I'm not going to do what you're asking me to do, but hire 2 more motherfuckers because they're already like, how many guys do we need to hire to get you over here?
Give and take.
So you got to be, and so I was advised by somebody who I've referenced before, but I don't know if they want their name out here. Great guy too. How about this? Have your 101 deal be separate from your TMA deal and have them do a 6-month deal. And then that way, if 101, if you're miserable with it, you say you gave it a shot, it didn't work out, that way you can step away, but keep the TMA thing. That way you're giving a good faith effort. And I came to Tommy with that, and he goes, how about give me a year? And I'm like, all right, fine. Well, we're a week into it, and I'm going, oh my God, I got 51 more weeks of this fucking thing.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the...
in your little closet over there.
Yeah, my production closet.
Oh my God. I was at a low point.
Yeah. One of the lowers I've...
For real.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am stuck, and this thing is a living hell. I don't give a fuck that these people don't like me because I don't, like I said, as I said on TMA today, like if I had a party, there's some people I don't want at the party. Yeah. You don't want everybody to like you. Truly, you don't. There isn't a lot of money in everybody liking you or trying to get everybody to like you. But I don't fucking care if these people like me. I just don't like doing the show, and it's not where I make my money. And so then if I were to leave it and I'd break down the financials of how like 5% of my overall income was from Balloon Party. Oh, you're just saying that because you got fired, or you're saying you quit and you really got fired. I already lived through enough of this shit to know how it works. But then you come up with the questions and the thing starts to gain traction and they're like, hey, at the top rated show. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's not like I'm getting any money for it. I'm happy, but whatever. I'm just trying to get my fucking guys over to Hubbard. That's why the whole thing took place. So going back to the whole 101 conversation, we had a choice. Hubbard or go take it in-house. That was it. And what I discovered from doing Balloon Party is in my life since 2004, if somebody recognizes me and they say, love the show, it's about TMA.
Right.
And what has happened over the last couple of years, actually, is I immediately assume that. And then I go, oh, thanks. How long have you been listening? Like, oh, you guys have been on longer than just last year or just 2022?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, 2004. Like, where was it been on? And then I realize they're Balloon Party people. They're 101 people who have no idea that TMA exists. And that was an eye-opening thing for me because when you're in TMA, you're under the impression that it's a lot bigger than it actually is.
Yeah. Which
takes me back to a Frank Opinion anecdote from this podcast in which he said to me, he was a guest on here, and I'm like, Martin was talking about Frank Opinion in a break yesterday, and I go, man, I love Frank Opinion. Yeah. I love Frank Opinion. I said, Frank Opinion's model was what I, used to an extent. It's certainly different, but of owning your own shit and then, have in some capacity selling your own shit to keep TMA going through, the years. It's not like I listened to his show, and I'm sure he wouldn't listen to TMA, but I knew about the business model. And I could just tell. You ever meet him and interact with him? Did you ever? No. I mean, he's Martin Doug level of talent. Yeah. It's different, but it's just like you can tell he's just now that you've worked with Martin for a couple weeks, you kind of see what I was talking about. Like that's just another that's a different deal.
Right.
Of the brain's ability to fire.
The hardwiring of the brain.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's nothing anybody did.
No, it's
you just either got this weird shit or you don't, and
binary
these guys got it. Yeah. And so Franco Penion's on the podcast, and we're sitting in that studio, KFNS, and he goes, yeah, you're saying the show's successful. He goes, if I went out and walked out on Manchester Road right now, he goes, maybe 1 or 2 people out of 100 would recognize me. Maybe. He goes, okay, so that means 99 or 98 would not. He goes, but of those 1 or 2 people, they would be really excited about seeing me. Yeah. And that's a different thing. Some shows have listeners. Some shows have fans. TMA has fans. And by the way, it's not in the sense of we will support you no matter what fans. It cuts both ways. It's more like being a head coach of a college football team. If you're delivering what you want, the guy's a god and becomes a cult of personality. But if not, then the guy's to blame for everything. Yeah. You know, so Eli Drinkwitz, in a matter of a month, has gone from up here to down here for a lot of Missouri fans. And that's the nature of the beast. So you recognize that once you're in it. But what I never experienced was the 101 thing. And to be crystal clear, I'm not going, well, this 101 thing, now that I'm on it, it's the grep. That's not what I'm saying. What I experienced was, holy shit, there's a bunch of people out there who have no idea about TMA. Don't even know I do another show. They're like, man, you can live off of doing 1 hour radio.
I had the same thing. I said, once it came up to me and said, like, so what do you do? Like, what time do you get in? Like, what do you do? Like, maybe you guys should do like another hour. I was like, well, 5 hours is a long time for radio to go. Where are the other 3 coming from? I was like, well, we do another.
It comes from how we actually make our living.
Yeah, 7 to 10, we do like this show that's been on for like 20 years.
Right.
But,
right.
Don't pay attention to
it. So that was an eye-opening thing.
Right.
And so that, but still, even with knowing that, I'm still going, I kind of am open to taking it in-house. And it just wasn't, and I don't want to make it clear, like, I was fighting to keep it in-house, and you and Doug were adamant otherwise. That's not what the deal was. I want to be clear on that.
Doug really pulls the strings.
Absolutely. Yeah, Doug is the silent puppet master, smiling assassin. But, yeah, that was it. Yeah. That's it. There was not a stay on HD2 choice. That was it.
Neither or.
That was it. And also, even if during my free agency, for lack of a better term, although I guess I never reached free agency, but it's not like my representation reached out to other places, because it was truly we're either staying here or we're taking it in-house. That's it. Not because we're better than or anything like that. It's just like, I like the people here, and if I'm going to continue to work for a corporation, it's going to be for John Kiowski, Tommy Matter, and Keith Krause, and the sales staff here and the production team. For real, we're 3 years into it, and I still don't know if there is a bad motherfucker in the building.
For real.
It's the strangest damn thing. It's just professional. Now Martin's getting a chance to experience it.
Yeah, and happy. People are like,
it's just a different deal. But that was it. That was it. So if you want to litigate that, even though I realize, and it's not anybody's fault, that you don't have all the information and the dollars and the expenses and the revenue, then you still should have taken it in house. Then that's the situation. Now the day with Iggy, where I jumped his ass, August at some point, okay? I knew that this was a possibility, but I also thought I was going to be able to keep Iggy on board, because every fucking time one of my guys is about to get whacked, like Mel Gibson in Ransom, I pay.
Nice reference.
And so it's like, all right, how much is it going to cost? And it got to a point where it's like, dude, it's not going to happen, Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. But I didn't hear, dude, it's not going to happen until recently. So for full context, because I imagine that probably was a social media jerk-off session. I don't know, but I would imagine it was. The day I chewed Iggy's ass out for bitching about not having a free hoodie, the reason I was so on edge is because all of this shit was going on, and I'm trying to fight for my fucking guy. I want us to be able to stay together, but I also understand the dynamics of the situation. And so we go to a commercial break, and I'm like, I want to be able to talk to you outside, because I was in the wrong. Period. I don't care if people are saying they loved it or they hate it. I don't fucking care. It doesn't matter. I know for me, from my standard, I was in the wrong. I had lost my shit on the air twice in the 20 years of this show. One was Dan Marshall, and I wasn't yelling at him. He was typical. I guess it's acceptable now, but it just made shit up. And about the show's ratings, and that's why he was replacing us with Bubba the Love Sponge.
But there was no rating.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the core issues. So that's why it being printed was a little alarming.
That is wild.
It's unbelievable, brother. It's unbelievable. I mean, at this point, it's so believable, but at the time...
That's super wild.
And I'm just going, okay, now you're fucking with people's lives.
Yeah, right.
You know? So I'm sitting there, and I remember I'm in there with Doug and the cat at KFNS, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm out of control. It's like Dana Carvey's impression of Regis Philbin. I'm out of control. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm losing my mind.
Right.
I'm out of control. I don't apologize for that one. Mm-hmm. Still was out of character. It would have been more in character for like the 2004, 2005, 2006 me, but 2013 me, definitely not, and certainly not 2024 me. But with Iggy, I'm like, but this guy has no idea what's going on and what I'm doing to try to, keep everything together. And now he's bitching about not having a hoodie. And this merchandise is not exactly like a monster revenue stream for me.
No. And
I'm like, oh my God. But either way, it should have never been on air. That's on me. Nobody else. And I'm not saying that to win people over. Some people might have loved it. I don't fucking know. Once again, what is our theme today?
I don't fucking care.
That's exactly right. So I go outside and I go, all right, here's the deal. You can do with this what you want. We're in the elevator. We hadn't even gotten outside yet. I go, you can keep it to yourself or you can go blab it on your Facebook page, whatever the fuck you want to do. Don't give a fuck. They're talking about letting you go because they got to make some cuts. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah. I go, so here's the deal. I'm trying to keep this thing, if I can, together. But these circumstances are beyond everyone's control. So, that's the situation. So you may have noticed that he got back from breaks on time after that day. That was not a coincidence. Good for Iggy. He started coming back. Well, there was a motherfucker who would let him know, hey, if you want to fly under the radar, here's some things that would be good to do. Not bitch about things on the air and not be late from breaks. Because the guy is a ridiculous talent. It's just not in the way that maybe like me or Martin or Doug are viewed as a talent. But his unapologetic personality is a talent. It is a valuable thing. And I wanted him to be here. But I also knew the dynamic. And so it sucks. It sucked then, it sucks now. But that is the context of that taking place. So that's what it was. I think it was in August. I don't know. So like I have a diary. But that's the context on it. So if we took things in-house, then Iggy could have stayed. So that was the thing. That was something that and Doug knows that was one of the things that was driving me up the fucking wall, Mm-hmm. But I also understand it. And so when the day that Iggy was let go, I talked to him for like 40 minutes, and I think initially he thought something had happened. And I go, do you think like Randy Carricker did something wrong?
Right.
You see what's going on. And I go, listen, man, my hope is this new show takes off, and then we can find a way to have you. And I told him what I thought it would be. That little, he had only been in the 101 studio once or twice. But that you could be in that spot where you could be better suited anyway.
Crow's nest.
100%. And you could snipe and do your thing. Because you just got sick talent,
Mm-hmm.
Sound Story, this is immaterial, but, there's something that's a new opportunity with Sound Story. And I said, hey, if we do get this thing going, I'm going to need somebody. I'm not just because he's like, I don't want you handing me anything. I don't want any handouts. That's a big thing for him. No bullshit. For as much as people give him shit about asking for stuff, he is adamant about me because I talked about, hey, I might, when we were outside, I'm like, I'm going to try to do it. And if that means I got to give some money like I did with the Plowhawk, I'm not letting you do that. I still was going to do it. But, it was beyond that. But yeah, I really do need somebody for Sound Story. You know the deal. Nobody else gives a shit, but there is a spot. Chairman Kurt's already working for Sound Story, and Iggy would have a spot. And then Iggy, by the way, texts Tommy, because this was not like a hostile situation for anybody. He's like, hey, I can't do the Iggy impression. Martin does it well, though. If you guys don't mind, I'd love to come to Trivia Night and the year-end awards. And I'm like, if he wants to do that, that's great. And then he's texting me and you, and then he's like, hey, what can I help with for Trivia Night? Like, I'm like, dude, I mean, that's very kind of you. I just want you to be here and get the love from the audience. You deserve the love from the audience.
Absolutely.
100%. And so we got the Trivia Night a week from tomorrow. Yeah. I guess. And then we haven't really been able, I mean, I guess we could have promoted it, but I haven't promoted the fucking thing because of all that's been going on.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's a weird spot. So the Trivia Night's like this thing that's coming up in a week, but we haven't been able, I shouldn't say we haven't been able to. It's just a weird spot because of everything that's going on. But, yeah, if you want to come and show love to Iggy, Iggy's going to be there. Martin's going to be there. Iggy's like, it's not going to be awkward for me. It's going to be awkward. I go, no, nobody, because it wasn't like a thing where you did something.
Right.
It's not like anybody's like, oh, good, we get to get rid of him. That wasn't it. It was fucking miserable. That's what, the St. Louis sports fan was like Randy Carricker. And I'm not just, Randy Carricker is first class through and through. There's some times where there are things that are attached to people that are positives. It's not my place to tell you who they are, but Randy Carricker isn't one of them. And I get it, because everybody knows Randy's been doing it for however many years. Nobody was enjoying that. Nobody. But for us on TMA and the TMA audience, it was more about Iggy, just because that's who we work with on a daily basis. And I'm still hopeful we'll work with on a daily basis again. But I knew what the circumstances were for now. And so that is, that's the backstory on that. So, I don't know. I've been talking for like an hour. Good thing that my call got moved to 3, because here we are. I haven't looked at the YouTube. I might be getting lit up on YouTube. I have no idea.
No, not the case. I think that was well said. I think that was well said.
God bless.
I think it's a tough thing to broach exactly, but I think you did a very good job. That was well said, and a lot of Pesci. And so
there was.
Yeah, and I'm just going back in my mind because you did. You were talking. Have you considered starting a diary? I'd be interested in reading some passages.
Because as you know, I'm a psycho and I have my Whoop.
Oh, you kind of do have a diary, by the way, with the food thing.
Well, when you wake up in the morning, if you have a Whoop, and I got to tell you, they're not a sponsor. I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, but you're a data guy.
It's so helpful, though, because now I see, like last night, I'm just like, I don't know why this is not how I am, but I'm just like, I'm craving pizza. Isn't necessarily, I know some people are like, oh, I don't get why that, but like on a Wednesday, just be like, bah. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get pizza. And so because I ate a bunch of pizza on a random Wednesday night, I got bad sleep because it affects your blood and how your body's processing a bunch of shit. So you learn how to, it helps you fire better. I'm just telling you.
Where'd you get the pie from, boy?
Went Emos, Kirkwood.
Fire, yeah. Old Faithful.
Took my younger son up there. He hung out, and then it was me, and my older son loves, and my wife hates it when it's boys' club. We just go down there, and for whatever reason, these guys sing, and they have decent voices. It's a really odd thing.
Really?
Yeah. There's a song. I'm not going to get into the song. And I'm driving back from Emos in Kirkwood last night, which is not a far drive, and the 2-year-old's in the back singing this song, and I'm going, the fact that this guy even talks is kind of, but now he's singing, and I'm going.
So where are they singing again? I'm sorry?
He's just singing along to the song that I was playing.
Okay, gotcha.
So then we go downstairs, and I let him go back and forth and pick a song on YouTube, basically so I can read my laptop in peace. And it's just the 3 of us. My wife gets time without the nonsense upstairs. We're sitting on my bed because I've been cucked to the basement now that the 2-year-old comes on our bed. So I go, hey, watch with the crumbs. It's my fucking bed, boys. And they're going back and forth on songs, and they're singing along, and that's how I. I'm like, what is this? I got like a little Brady Bunch group going on here. These 2 fucking dandies.
PFG took part 2.
PFG is back. Crestwood Mall.
Reloaded.
Sparrow. All right, I'm going to go into the YouTube. I will answer. I got until 3 o'clock. It's 2:12 now. I got a call at 3 o'clock. Let me ask you, because I've just been blabbing for an hour. Is there anything that you think or that you've seen that I have not addressed that you think people would like me to address? Boy, I'm losing my voice here.
Nothing there. I think, if nothing else, to let you get some water. I think from like a total 30,000-foot view, macro, and it's reminiscent of a text that I saw in TMA like the last week or 2 before we made the move to 101 that I'll reference at the end. I think so much of the stuff, like the parasocial element of it all, is Yeah, it might seem trivial, but like wrapped up in the daily aspect of it because we're on every single day for multiple hours, 3-4 hours. Like there is something about that like brings you closer to it in both the negative and positive way. Like the once a week podcast. Like I think if someone was like, "Oh, TMA just dropped a new episode," like that would be like, "Oh yeah, like that's exciting." But if someone's like, "TMA just dropped 3 new episodes," it's like, "Yeah, dude, it's fucking Wednesday. Of course they did."
Right.
I think there is that element to it, and someone texted in, and it's one of the best texts I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, what do we got?
It was sometimes you guys, as paraphrasing a little bit, it's almost verbatim. And it was just from a 314 number. Sometimes you guys really piss me off, but then I reevaluate and I say it's probably not healthy to listen to any single person for 15 hours or 20 hours a week. So I think this is on me. Have a great day. And I thought, that's the best text I've ever read.
I just am looking for a little self-awareness. That's and God bless. Yeah, I have no problem with that. That's the thing. Like for real. Like, and there's still like Martin loves the guy. Martin's never had a text inbox like what's going on in front of him. Yeah. I guess it's on that desktop. I don't know.
There's days where I'm like, should I open up the text inbox for Martin?
But he doesn't fucking care. That. By the way, I want to address this, and I'm going to be going off here. By going off, I mean going off tangent. The new show, I guess, if you want to call it that, is primed to be, and I guess I shouldn't say I'm invested in it. I obviously am involved in it. So it can be perceived as I'm hyping it up. I already know what's going on with it, so I'm good, you know?
Right.
But you have Doug who could like text me right now and go, "Hey, you know what? I've decided I'm done." And I'd be like, "Oh, that's because that's how Doug's going to go out,
right.
And that's how he wants to go out. Right. He isn't going to need like a Hoda, like everybody's going to drop by to kiss the ring celebration."
Right.
You like the obscure reference, and you caught it too.
You're 2 for 2 with the deep cuts.
Mel Gibson, Ransom, and Hoda.
Yeah.
You know, Doug that's the way Doug will stop doing the show.
Right.
It's because it almost happened years ago. He's going. That we were doing a remote for like a buck swope who would be able to identify the day. I'd be curious what it was. It was certain you were probably in high school. There was like barbecue fest or something. Was it?
Q in the Lou?
There you go. On Market.
Keener? Yeah, Keener.
We were doing a remote, and he goes, and we were on a break. He goes, "Hey, by the way, I might have to leave the show. KMOV is saying that I might not be able to do the show anymore because I might need to do this. So I just wanted to let you know."
like in a break.
I go, people have, I'm like, there's an example of how much Doug and I talk about this thing that I'm so glad some people, and I've realized there was something that happened earlier this year that a guy I know came up to me and he goes, "Boy, tough to end." Have I told this story? I know I've told it to you off air. I may have told it on, it doesn't matter. I'll tell it again. Fuck it. The guy goes, "Man, tough day today." And I go, I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, God, did like something happen,
right.
You know, in the U.S. that I'm not aware of? And I go, "What happened?" Then he told me what it was, and it had to do with TMA. And I go, "Oh yeah." I started to realize that there were some people who were like more into it than, and it's like it's one thing if it's like supportive. What has happened with a portion of the TMA audience is like they live to hate, and it's like, okay, it's fine. It strikes me as a little surprising. But I guess you think that either I or the group of us are operating in bad faith and just lying to you about things. I don't know what it is, but like I said, I'm liberated. Yeah. I don't fucking care. Hate me all you want. Be my guest, please do. The more hate, the better. It's better for me if you hate me more. I don't fucking care. If I had been like, yeah, I did something unethical, or I got Randy fired and I got Iggy fired, I'd have a tough time putting my head on the pillow. Mm-hmm. I don't like when my fucking 7-year-old doesn't want to count as double bogey, much less, you know, fucking with people's lives. Right. So if that's who you think I am, that's who you think I am, have at it, be my guest, because I can't say anything that's going to change your mind. And the great news for me now is I don't fucking care. Nope. Doesn't matter. I know what we've done. And if anything, I'm proud of what we've done. That's the truth. And if you're a fan of the show, you should be proud of the fact that you've been part of something that was like a garage band that has now been through all of the bullshit that many of you are aware of, and obviously you're not aware of all of it, have supported for so long, so much so that it got to a point they're like, we got to put these motherfuckers on our biggest station, you know, or one of our biggest stations. Yeah. That you were there before everybody else was there, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful for that. But like the hate, it comes with the day. I'm not like mad about the hate. I guess I'm confused by it in a sense, But I realized, but that was the Plowhawk thing in 2019. I'm like, I can't say anything. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to believe me. So fine, fuck it. Have your, wherever you're posting negative shit about me or the guys I work with, I can't control it. So have at it. Be my guest. It doesn't fucking matter. Obviously, they like what we're doing here. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done that. And it is something to be celebrated. It just went down in a way that, nobody enjoyed. But that's the way that it goes, which is why it was interesting that the person who, caught me, and I almost got emotional when it happened. I'm in the fucking schoolyard of the school at 9 at night. And I'm like, God, I guess I should really be happy, but I feel fucking terrible today. This is not a day I'm happy, but here's a guy who played professional sports. He's like, yeah, this is the deal. I mean, that's the way that this world works. That's just not where I am, and I don't think I'll ever get there, honestly. And I kind of don't want to get there. I don't want to get to a point where I'm just like, okay, there's another motherfucker. That's collateral damage. So what? Better for me. That's not the way I look at things. And that's not because I'm a great person or whatever. You can say I am, say I'm not, whatever. Don't give a fuck. But it's just not the way because everything impacts not just the person, but those person's families, and then a bunch of different people. Totally. And it's just, so I'm not going to be, it doesn't matter if it's better for, some, I'm just not, I don't know. So anyway, all right, I got to answer YouTube questions. I can't wait to see what this is going to be like. I haven't looked at it the whole fucking time. Anything I need to do?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if I had anything that you needed to do or I needed to do. You got that prostate situation.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay. Good to see you, fellas. That's from Greg Bussman. I know Greg Bussman. He's good people. I had to jump in the 101 chat. You know what I'm going to do?
Put those readers on. Yeah.
Readers.
You're like a batter who just got struck out every time you put them on because it take off all this shit.
Like Biggio. Used to be armed Bonds. Had to jump in the 101 chat and let them know to come on over for QFTA. My guess is, the 101 chat. I like the 101 YouTube chat. My guess is most of them want to hear 5 more hours of Cardinal talk. I just came. That's from Kyle. I wonder why he ejaculated,
Probably the readers.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh man, the readers, save some for the rest of us. I do have to tell you, you can't fix the height, you can't fix the head, you can't fix the hair, but I kind of like the look with the readers.
Oh, I think it's a good look.
You think it's a winning play?
I'm telling you, when you
What if I had the readers with the beard? You'd want to bang me, wouldn't you?
Don't get me started. That's just, I'm
we might have the title for today's podcast. Wow. That's from MD 2020. This week's TMAs with Joey Vitale, Rich Gould, and Josh Schertz have been some of the best segments in years. Oh, wow. Is this going to be supportive? I was prepared for war today.
You might find a little bit of battle. You might find a little bit once you keep scrolling. But I got to be honest, a lot less battle than I thought there would be.
All right. Yeah, I would agree. Here's the deal. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. Now, when I look at you and I'm not reading, I can't. You're blurry.
No,
so I still have that vision, but it's going to be different. But here's the important thing: it needs to be different. I've been sitting on this podcast for a couple of years saying my favorite show is the Tim McKernan Show. And then it was kind of getting to the point that Balloon Party was my second favorite show. Now I was in a weird spot because I was putting food on the table because of TMA. But I want to hammer this part home. Does Doug talk about how old he is? Because it's not my place to say it if he doesn't talk about it. But here's the bottom. Everybody can tell. I mean, people don't want to talk about it. But Doug isn't going to be doing this in 5 years.
Right.
He's just not. Doug doesn't want to be doing this in 5 years. Doug's not going to be doing this in 5 years. So at some point, there had to be a move in which somebody younger was brought on board who also can be at the level of Doug. That's the way that it had to be. I had no idea Martin was going to be in play because I was just when we started talking, I'm just you'd get up 5 days a week and you're not going to leave TV? I have no idea what he makes. I don't know what anybody fucking makes. I just found out what your ballpark is here about 2 hours ago. I'm because the television business is so, whatever. And I don't know, maybe people in the public still think that pays really well. And maybe he is making a lot of it. I don't know, it's none of my business. But I'm you're gonna do that stuff, and then I asked, I go, when are you even on? And he goes, I get it. Nobody watches local news anymore. And he goes, we got a 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. I go, oh fuck. And I'm and you're willing to do this on a 5-day a week, I'm like, well, if that's the case, then holy shit.
Right.
Yep. But I didn't think that was even remotely in play. But if you are a TMA fan, the lifespan of TMA has just been expanded materially by Martin Kilcoyne being a part of it. And also, I would imagine even if you like mad or miss the 90-minute segments, you can acknowledge that's a pretty good show. I'm at the front of the line, trust me. And Martin, Doug, and Jackson are right there with me on the breaks.
Yeah.
But guess what? So are the people in charge. Unfortunately, it's not something they go, here, let's just move it tomorrow. And I'm not like shitting on KFNS or 920. If we were at KFNS or 920, we probably would be able to have done it maybe that hour when Tommy came in. There's a situation, there's a traffic department, spots have to run, so it's a step-by-step thing. But I mean, John Kiowski literally just told me the week, which I guess is 2 weeks, that we're going to go down to 3 breaks. And then they're talking about the possibility of 2 breaks. They're selling the hell out of the thing, So for those who are saying it's terrible and whatever you're saying, it's fine. Say whatever. Say it's terrible. Don't fucking matter. But it's going well. I hate to disappoint you. Let's see what else we got here. And as far as the segments go, I couldn't agree more. I said this to Jackson that not only was today our best show, which is a weird thing to say because Doug's not there, and it's not like, oh, Tim's, because like I'm shade guy.
Yeah.
I'll drop diss tracks.
You and Tavon Austin.
Doug's the fucking greatest as far as somebody to work with, and you can count on, and instant offense. So I'm going to lay the superlatives that Doug is uncomfortable with. When I do, it's hitting its stride. Yeah. Me and Martin had worked together since October of 2006. Can we have a couple days? I know I've done 5,200 of these, and we're going to judge it based on 2. But can I have a couple days? Can Martin have a couple days? Martin has never seen like the cockpits that get sent into the text inbox while he's doing a show.
I do really enjoy him seeing those for the first time.
But I was sitting there doing the show today. I haven't told you this yet, and I'm going, I don't even know what hour we're in. I'm enjoying this so much. I don't even care that this is my job. I'd be doing this for free. This is great shit. And yeah, I'd prefer to not have to throw to a break every 12 minutes as it's currently constructed. But that's what's got to go down. I can't go, fuck it. We're not going to break.
That would be really great. Who is that Rick Riley who said, fuck it, we'll do it live?
No, Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Who's Rick? Is he a sports writer?
He's a Sports Illustrated writer.
Apologies, Rick Riley.
Yeah.
If you're just like, no, if I started to go to break and you threw something at me.
We're not breaking. But I'm like, Joey was great, and plays ball, obviously. Holy shit. He goes into places that I'm surprised he goes, which is great.
It's awesome.
And Josh Schertz, my God, I'm like a Billiken fan now.
Right.
I'm tagging Troy Robertson.
He's so
he's a
huge,
big in the NIL.
huge
It's
fan.
texting me now. I got to return some texts from him. He's texting me. The Billiken fans loved that interview, but I loved the interview. I didn't do it to I think SLU people, like St. Louis U people, are probably not a big fan of mine. I don't know. Just kind of looking at the demo, that's not usually who I trend toward. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm a Missouri guy, and they don't like the Missouri guys. But fuck, I cheer for the Billikens all day long, and Missouri fans don't like when I'm like, well, I'm cheering for the Billikens. Now, if Missouri played the Billikens, it's a different situation. But I cheer. It's like Illinois in 2005. Yeah, I'm cheering for Illinois. I don't know what to tell you. Illinois wanted them to beat Oregon a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
But whatever. Fuck it. Josh Schertz. Holy shit. And that's a guy, by the way, I'll get back to the... You got 81 motherfuckers watching this thing. 83. The hell? I didn't even talk about doing it. I said this to you and Martin in the commercial break after Josh left. I go, you know who reminds me of? And I think Martin guessed it because it kind of predates you, when he got hired anyway. And he goes, Pinkel. And I go, that's exactly it. Yeah. I go, for real. And I said, but I didn't want to make the comparison. Right. Because I think for some St. Louis U fans, they hate when Missouri fans let us pat you on the back with our SEC championship game and Big
so
Cup
much
championship.
success.
Yeah. So I didn't want to do that on the air.
Right.
and it wasn't because of that.
Sure.
It's because that's a guy, and I really recommend listening to that interview, not because it's going to make me any money. I don't give a shit. But you're going to become a fan.
Yeah,
and it's going to
real.
give you something to cheer for. But he was at Lincoln Memorial, something that's in Appalachia.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
For 12 years and was so committed to it when he's driving to Indiana State for the interview, he decided 20 minutes out that he didn't want to take a job
Crazy.
because he loved it so much there and he was so content. And I was texting with some of these Billiken guys, you know, some of the guys who played there and just listened to the show. And I'm like, I hope that guy wins because if he does, he isn't going anywhere. I mean, he could have been Louisville's head coach.
It's crazy.
And he's sitting there with us just fucking off for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, just hanging out.
I mean, I'm just like, I
Talking
love
fries.
this shit.
Yeah.
I love this shit. And so it's re-energized me. You know, I don't like the quick segments. First one to say it. I'm not saying anything I don't say to Tommy or John. And John and Tommy don't like it either. That's just the deal. But it's got to be changed. And it takes a little time. You can make jokes about it all you want. It's fine with me. It's a real thing. Right. You know, I know these guys, and I know they're not just making it up. That, oh, yeah, we got a date for you when we're going to, you know. So it's going to be an adjustment. But that's kind of the push and pull of the situation. But if you think we're going over there going, oh, you want us to talk Blues for 4 hours? Sounds good, guys. Oh, you want us to talk Cardinals for 4 hours? We can't jack around? They want us to jack around. That's why they brought us over there. They didn't bring us over there to change. They brought us over there to change what they were doing because what we're doing works. John Kiowski just said to me, he goes, I go, you haven't said, I don't even know how we were talking about it. And I go, you guys haven't said one time, you or Tommy, not that John would be, it would be Tommy, what to say or not to say on that station, period.
Yep.
Now, the time may come just because I read a text that's so graphic or an email that's so graphic. But I mean, that's reality. The Blues interviews are scheduled as part of the 101 carrying those interviews. And I believe, but either way, like that's so like we do 16 segments a day. And so one a day is going to be, for the time being anyway, you know, a Blues broadcaster. And Robert Thomas is a once. So I guess that's a thing that I see in the text inbox. Oh my God, all these Blues interviews. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. There's fucking 15 other segments.
Right.
It's just like we got to look for something to bitch about. But then the 101 audience is like, if I stand up, does that fucking... I've never had to ask if I stand up, is that going to mess anything up?
I hate to do low-hanging fruit, but it does not.
Yeah, of course it doesn't. And then the 101 audience is like, oh, you guys never talk sports.
Oh, maybe it does a little.
Nice.
Oh,
I'm all grown up and all grown up.
Because you're kind of hunching.
Now I'm tall.
Yeah, if you
and
stand...
I got the readers on.
Yeah, if you stand
I'm going to
erect,
be at Bricktops within the next 2 hours.
It's actually perfect. Damn it.
Oh, now I kind of went into the lean in, though.
When you put your headphones on, though, you look like SVP. Like
I think I'm a little better looking.
Well, I'm just talking about like the silhouette for his show. Like if I were to silhouette you right now.
I see that. Now I see what you're talking about. All right, what else do I got in here? What if I answered it? Well, I don't even know what I was talking about. And I got to get off this in 29 minutes. All right, let's see. Tim, you look super cute with glasses. That's Crescent Coyote. Thank you. Is that Jason Kidd with the specs on? Does that get you a soft cow?
No, I'm not a big Jason Kidd fan.
Oh wow, Jackson.
Not a big Jason Kidd fan.
Wow, I don't know what's going on.
No, just not a.
Okay, fair
not
enough.
my guy.
All right, fair enough. Let's see. I'm trying to read everything. I started listening to TMA because of Balloon Party and had to download the app to listen, but I just enjoyed the show. It's MD 2020. I'm glad to hear you finally covers this. I figured you would now that the dust has settled. I loved the old format better with less commercials, but after hearing this, you had to go to 101. Going in-house just sounds like you a lot less money and nothing but headaches.
Probably left out.
Make a lot of, yeah, and I'm not trying to mock it because I mean, fuck, people are just bullshitting in a YouTube chat. I don't know on the money because it would have been in-house, so you don't know. It's a sliding scale. I could have made a lot more money. I don't know. You know, I mean, I have never wanted a salary and be fixed. That's not what I want. And then now, when you're 26, you do. You know, unless you're like Startup Wizard and you know, SBF or something like that. And I don't believe you are.
No.
But
the end game didn't seem great there. At the peak, it was probably awesome.
Yeah, I think he enjoyed himself in the Bahamas. But I don't know. It was a sliding scale. The one thing when I was thinking about the in-house thing, it's like, okay, if it works, and I figured it would, I can move. But we're at a point now with my 7-year-old that we're kind of in school that we really like and a community really, really like, that I don't know if I really want to my wife and I really want to fuck with that. And then it's just straightforward, just talking about everything that I can here. If you look at moving to Florida in 2024, it looks a lot different than 2021. And that's not because real estate, at least where we would move, has dropped in prices. It's because of the insurance situation with the hurricanes.
Right.
And it's also something you have to factor in as a buyer now. Even though the Gulf has been hit harder, it's still that state is so narrow that the opposite side gets hit. And if Jupiter were to get hit and I'm spending a ridiculous amount of money on insurance, that's a different ball game, and you're obviously spending more on a house than you do in St. Louis to live there. So this was all part of the arithmetic on the calculation. But I appreciate Doug Joseph in the YouTube chat saying, that he gets where I'm coming from. Yeah, you might not like it. You might have liked the format better. Here is the reason why. And I guess what I would hope, but I get that I don't get, or sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't know. And it's a case-by-case basis. As people go, okay, the guy's been doing it for 20 years. There had to be reasons. Before I decide that he is the Antichrist, I'll wait to hear, which is probably why people were waiting for me to do a QFTA. And the reason I've waited is because I have learned over the years that if you talk on social media or even a podcast where I'm like, I said to Jackson's like, do you want to do this one live? Because now you got the YouTube chat. I'm like, yeah, I think I do. I don't, because I got nothing to hide from, Right. So you don't like it, fine. I don't fucking care. So let's go ahead and have the YouTube chat. But there's got to be reasons. And now you're hearing the reasons. Unrelated to the current topic, but I hope you guys have shirts on semi-regularly as a guest. He's legit basketball savant and super interesting to listen to. The St. Louis University has already reached out and said, hey, enjoyed it. If you want to have him back on, I said, yes, we absolutely do.
Anytime, man.
Oh, my God.
Outstanding.
I hope we have so many of those on the show where you just have people like dropping by and fucking off.
Hanging out, yeah.
That's one of the things that Martin, when we were talking about, he goes, I think there's an opportunity for that to be, so for it to come to fruition with Rich Gould yesterday and Joey and Josh Schertz today. I'm like, it's just it's a great fucking show. I know it's a narcissistic thing to say, I guess, but it's not because of me. I'm like, this is good shit. Now, if you liked us, doing what we were doing on TMA, that's great. I got to tell you, as somebody who's a part of it, there were times where I just kind of like sit plays out, and you would look over at me, and I think Doug would see. I'm like, all right, and that's I'm leaning in on this and engaged. Let's see. Jackson's just trying to sneak into our alliance. That's Chairman Kurt. Yeah, you and Martin with that alliance. Very concerning.
It's because I print him out stuff, and he once sends me some interviews, and I cut it out. It's just. But I like Martin a lot. I love working with Martin.
Let's see. I haven't seen anybody blaming you for Iggy, but good grief, some of the 101 YouTubers act like you grabbed an axe and chopped Randy's fucking head off. Oh, really?
I haven't looked much in the.
I didn't know that.
YouTube chat. It doesn't.
I mean, it's fine. It's
Right.
I don't. Whatever. If people want to believe that. By the way, speaking of Randy. I didn't know how to handle the situation. I would imagine people could understand.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to text him, and he's still, people thought we were replaying a sound story when it was going out over the air yesterday or 2 days ago. Randy was here, literally sitting right here yesterday doing a sound story. So he's still working, with sound story. But that night that it all happened, Randy sends me the kindest fucking text. I haven't asked him if I can read it, and I guess people probably aren't surprised by that. And you shouldn't be, because that's who he is. He's world class. And I'm just like, here you are sending me that. And I go, I wanted to text you, but I didn't know, because I felt like it'd be fucking weird, even though, as it turns out, Randy, I guess, kind of knew that there was a chance. I don't know, whatever. And I'm just like, this is, he was professional throughout the whole situation. He gets the situation. It just speaks to, like, you've seen other people get exited, in our industry, and then there's a Randy Carricker. Handles it, and it isn't a surprise to any of us who know Randy. Let's see. I know the Riz Show does banter for the first hour of the program, but then they have about 10 minutes worth of ads. That's from MD 2020. Hazelhood, how about doing a show you made fun of Fit? How about doing a show you made fun of fit? All right, I'm going to try it again. How about doing a show you made fun of fit?
My only guess is fit was supposed to be it, but I still don't know exactly.
How about doing a show you made fun of it?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
But still, yeah, the fit part was very confusing. If I
Well,
tried
but I'm trying to understand the question.
Yeah. Maybe like making fun of like a more like organized sports show. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you are listening, but this speaks to the dichotomy of the listenership.
100%.
The TMA listeners are saying all we're doing is talking sports, and the 101 listeners are saying you guys are immature and you're jacking around all the time.
Yep.
So
it's kind of freeing in a way that like
it's the best.
It's like,
I'm telling you, it was not some. That's the thing that's actually been the surprise. Not what's happened as far as everybody bitching,
your mindset around it.
but like the liberation. Like I didn't expect that part.
Right.
To the analogy I've used with you is the Koepka Ryder Cup thing, right? I think so whenever, I mean, and Koepka's, whatever. I mean, he's an asshole though. I mean, hey, guy, he'd probably be like, yeah, I am. I don't fucking care, whatever,
Panthers fan.
Yeah, very, very engaged at certain times.
Yeah.
And he goes, I think this was the Ryder Cup press conference last year, so he's kind of shitting on some of his teammates, really, but it's not what I'm trying to say here. But he goes, a lot of people who tell you they want to be out there with the putt that's going to decide the Ryder Cup.
Right.
And there's a difference between saying it and actually really wanting to be out there with the putt to decide the Ryder Cup. I want that putt. And what I have discovered, there are a lot of people who say they don't care what people say. And I'm sure at times in my career I have said, I don't care. And in reality, I still care. Maybe not nearly as much as when I first started out. Right. But I'm like going, oh my God. I feel like Tony Soprano in the Peyote episode. I'm just going, holy shit. Yeah. I don't fucking care.
It's not like unlocking something.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Fuck off. Fuck off. It's over. I won. Yeah. And if anything, don't you want to be with somebody who won and who keeps winning? That's what I do. Google me. I win.
Signetti.
Fuck off. I mean, that's the deal. That's the deal. That's what we do. And I don't know how that's not like celebrated. I don't get it. But hey, be my guest. Fucking hate on me. I don't give a fuck. But we've done it the right way. And we've treated people super well at the cost of my own personal dollars. And the show that was shit on and nearly kicked off the air in 2004 not only is here, but 101 goes, fuck, we got to have them on. It's like the Dan Devine character at the end of Rudy. And the coaches are going, put him in. And then finally he goes, put him in. Fuck it. That's what happened. Yeah. And I got to apologize for that? Fuck off. Yeah. We won. I don't know what to tell you. So now you're going to try to come at me like I'm doing a totally different show? If that's how you're going to get me, be my guest. I'm right here. Email me all day long. I'm not going to respond. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. But if anything, what I would hope for my sons and what I would tell anybody is try to blaze your own trail if you can. And not everybody is in a position to. So help me. My wife and I were talking about this when we were at the dinner where I go, holy shit, I just realized I don't fucking care. And it's great. This past Saturday. And she goes, you always say that if we would have had kids when the 590 the man thing would have happened, that you would have had to do something and taken a paycheck. And she goes, I don't think so. And I'm telling you, the fact that I signed a piece of paper putting up our house in June of 2013 and didn't think a thing of it was not because of confidence. It's because of incompetence. I would never do that when I had children. Not because it's like, oh, I'm such a great father. You just look at the world differently once you have children. And I'm not doing the thing where you don't get it yet because you don't have kids. That's not. I'm just telling you financially, you just look at things
different. Yeah.
You just 100%. So I don't think I would have done it, which means the show would have ended, or I would have gone and just taken a paycheck and done some hand job show. in 2013 when that Dan Marshall show, or I would have just stayed there because we could have stayed there and done the super TMA, as Dan Marshall called it, with us and Frank.
Would they have it on the Man?
Would have been on the Man. Would have been a huge opportunity. We would have had the Bubba the Love Sponge leading in. So, I mean, you want to talk about winning.
Actively talking shit on you guys leading into you.
Oh, well, like behind the scenes, like apologizing, going, this is what I do. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really care one way or the other. This isn't going to work out
they call
for you.
Kirkin?
I guess that was like the way to like do like a funny thing for like the, people who enjoyed that.
Yeah. Tough end game there.
Let's see what we got. I'm trying to answer everything. Where's the stuff that's negative? I want to make sure that
Hazelhood was the only thing that I saw.
But I don't know I still don't know what it means. How about doing a show you made fun of fit?
I don't know exactly, but if I had to guess, it'd be like making fun.
So that's like a TMA fan who's like got a burner, Hazelhood, because I've never seen that name before. What was the time frame of Martin knowing relative to the announcement that Friday a couple weeks ago? Martin started talking, I don't know. Maybe started talking like August-ish. But again, it wasn't like this is going to happen.
Right. Right.
So there's a difference. We started talking. I mean, they talked to me about expanding my role in 101 in August of 23, not August of 24. August of 23. And then we started talking about like, the TMA thing. And I'm like, well, I want, at the time, the Plowhawks on the show. And I'm like, well, I want, all 5 members of the show. And if you remember in 2020, August of 23, there was talk of Chairman Kurt becoming a Hubbard employee. So much so that, 244, so much so that there was an opportunity here, and Tommy called me, and this was earlier in 23, and he goes, hey, would you mind if I asked him about this opportunity? Because I know you're high on him joining your show. And I'm like, oh, if I were to stand in the way of that, what an asshole I'd be. I said, that's between you and Chairman Kurt. That's kind of you to ask me, and I appreciate it, certainly, but my God, by all means, and that's up to KG to decide, fuck. And if it's what he wants to do, God bless him, but then things turned, unfortunately. All started around July of 23. Let's see, what else, Jackson? I'm not trying to hide from anything. I'm just scrolling. Jackson just trying to sneak into our line, so that's Chairman Kurt. Yes, I agree, Jackson is. You had mentioned when the Plowsy left... that he mentioned that him leaving may help Iggy stick around. Was this something that was being discussed even back then or something that's been more recent? It's a great question. It's an astute observation. So there was a time early in 2024 that Tommy called me, which is not how Tommy and I usually were just texting, and that's the way we handle things. And it was out of nowhere. Or it was like, hey, give me a call. Maybe it was more like that because he doesn't just call me out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh. And I know with our dynamic well enough to know that means something.
Sure.
And then as soon as I got back to him, he didn't pick up. And I'm like, then an hour later, he still got back to me. And I'm like, hey, what the fuck's going on? I'm sure I didn't write it like that. But, we have that kind of rapport. And he's like, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. As it turns out... what was going on, and I don't think Tommy would mind me saying this. Now, the Plowboy and Iggy didn't know this, that they were getting an edict that there were going to have to be some people let go. Right. Not again. This is not like Dan Caesar article where we're yelling at people. It's just math.
Right. That's
the way business usually is. If it's a business with a goal of having a profit, that's the way things usually work. And so that's an important disclaimer. And that's what he was called. Unfortunately, he was able to keep everything together. Now, the Plowhawk didn't know that. So when the Plowhawk, and I remember this, he reached out to me to let me know about his new opportunity the morning of the final round of the Masters. That's how I'm able to remember it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to remember it. And he had texted me. He goes, hey, it was like 8 o'clock. And he goes, hey, I want to catch up with you before the Masters starts because I know you want to watch that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to call him. And he tells me what's going on. And in my mind, I'm like... I'm so happy for him because I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the year. Right. And it's the same thing with Chairman Kurt. So I told him when Peter Repp left Sound Story and we wanted to bring Chairman Kurt on for that position, or handle specifically production for Sound Story, which Chairman Kurt has done a wonderful job on and Peter Repp did a great job on. I said, hey, do not do this based on you hoping it to lead to something with TMA. Now, I knew why I was saying that. Chairman Kurt did not know why I was saying that, but I was saying it because I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. Then this was June of this year, and how things would play out. So anyway, there's a timeline, but that gives you an idea of kind of, I mean, this thing went from me and Tommy sitting downstairs, there's a restaurant downstairs, 5 months in, and then things were going so well that, and Jay Jr. was still alive, to going like, we're going to bring Jay Jr. on full time as a host.
Yep.
To the and then we're going to bring KG on because we love what he does with social media, and we need that presence. To oh shit, we might have to let people go. That's the reality of the industry, and that's and there's ebbs and flows. This has happened before, as you might imagine, as it has in other businesses. But that's what happened. So that all kind of transpired concurrently. But again, there's that element of it, and then there's also the element of TMA is something that's working, and we've got to put TMA on a bigger platform. So you had those two things happen to be running parallel that then impacted each other. Let's see what we got. Thanks for sharing the full story today. I have listened daily since 2011 and will listen until you guys hang them up. Thank you for being a big part of our lives for so long. Much love. That's JV Golf Club. What a fucking wonderful thing. See, I don't know what I'm reading these one by one, so I haven't seen them. That kind of caught me off guard. That was just a wonderful thing to read. God bless.
For real, JV Golf Coach. World-class guy, too.
That was very kind. Thank you, brother. Shirts is phenomenal. And people can write in awful shit, too. It's not going to matter. So feel free if you want to come at me. Or you could just email it to me, but I'm sure you want to, people like to get their scalps in public. That's a big win. Shirts is phenomenal. Covered them during NIT run at Hinkle in the spring. Super gracious with his time, insightful answers, etc. Vail is fantastic, too. That's from Brian Henshin, Indianapolis' own.
Hey, Hinkle Fieldhouse is one of the coolest places I've ever been to.
Yeah, you went to a Butler game there. Right?
So cool. Highly recommend for any basketball fans out there.
Yeah, the Shirts thing was just...
He was.
Yeah, those back-to-back hours. But then we still had the hours where we're fucking off in the 7 o'clock hour and 10 o'clock hour.
Totally.
And like that's what our goal is to do with the show. But here's the thing. I also understand what people think of, and then there's a void of it. I'm not there to say, hey, what you're saying is not true. So if I'm not there and it's not your place to do it, nor would I would even want you to do it, even if you offer to do it. Doug's not going to do it, nor I want Doug to do it if he wanted to do it. This was a game plan for those of us on the show.
Right.
Because I said to Tommy, I said, well, how do you want me to handle it? And he goes, be honest. And I go, God, it's so nice to hear. And then you're like, hey, if you want to do it, be my guest. He goes, I don't know if I'd do it. and I'm like, yeah, I don't think. And then I have another person who I'm really close to and advises me. And he's like, just the fact that you're even talking about doing that, he goes, you can do it if you want to. But I'm just telling you. And I'm so glad that I didn't. I mean, it was such the move. But so the downside of just going, here it is, here's what's going on, here's the release, and I am going into darkness, and you can motherfuck me and whatever you write, and I don't even know what people wrote, is then there's a void of information answering questions. So I understand that. The issue is, I know there would have been people operating not in good faith, and since I know Jake, I don't know him well, but I know he's a good guy. I'm like, I'll get on the phone with this guy. I'll answer questions for an hour, and I think we were on the phone for an hour. And I'm like, whatever you want to know, I'll tell you. Be my guest. Ask away. Complain about things. And the thing is, we had done 2 shows. I go, maybe you're going to come up with something that we haven't even thought of. This is not like something that's been mapped out for months here, as far as, hey, we're going to do the show on October 28th. So, yeah, if you want to ask questions, be my guest. And hell, maybe we'll get on the phone. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. Let's see, 83 viewers, blessed. I think knowing that segments will go longer is great to know. I don't like the short segments, but again, you were addressing it here. I remember you saying that AM radio and going long was big for you. One of the things that I have seen, because I've gotten emails, but I just wanted to go into the YouTube, and I figured once we did this, people would ask questions. is it like, can the AM model work? I think it can. I think it's important to distinguish between a model and an owner's business model. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow me on that? I just did a Gary Pinkel, okay? It can absolutely work. And I'm not going there, but it can absolutely work. However, you need to have a sales staff. And you also need to have shows that deliver return on investment. People might like personalities. Go, I miss this guy or that. That's all wonderful. The people don't spend advertising dollars as a favor. At least, again, operating on the premise these businesses want to generate a profit.
Right.
At some point, they go, yeah, I can't keep just like giving you X amount of dollars per month. It's not doing anything for me. It can absolutely work. So don't judge like KFNS by like what's gone on at KFNS the last decade. You need to have a sales staff. That was the thing when I was looking at buying KFNS. That was the top priority. Programming would be what people would, DNCs would write about all this stuff. That's great, wonderful. Sales is what matters, because without the sales, you can't afford to have the talent that's going to generate the revenue. This really isn't that complex, by the way. Let's see. Fan Page Club Championship about to show the 101 listeners what sports talk is about. Also, solid chicken strips at Bricktops. Really?
I know they did chicken strips.
I'm kind of surprised they do chicken strips. That's where the cat and I went for lunch.
Nice.
And Martin goes, oh, did you get a burger? And I go, as a matter of fact, he did. Were you like behind the potted plant or something? He goes, no, the cat just is always going to get a burger.
Yeah.
I go, all right, fair enough. Let's see. Unrelated, what of the skeleton will y'all be able to or willing to refresh it? Been some retreads lately. May just be when I tune in. Oh, Jackson, Brian Henshin's coming for you.
Skeleton still, it's playing some right now. It's Learn Stops by the Studio on Presidential Heights is currently playing on 105.7 HD2. I have to be honest. This feels like a big honesty and media day. I have a lot of stuff, more stuff than I did previous. Like in the last 2 weeks, I've had a lot more work than the 2 weeks before that. And so I'm still obviously programming the skeleton day in and day out. But adding to it's just not my number one priority at this very moment. There's like more prescient matters that I do, and I only have so much time. I was here till 6 p.m. last night. I'll be honest.
Shit! What the fuck are you doing? Was that the ADD or was that you?
ADD, a little procrastination. Obviously, catching. I really didn't even have time to process the election results.
Spit up a load mid podcast.
That'll happen to the best of us. I didn't even get a chance to really process the election results until way after the shows yesterday. But I was really busy doing stuff and wanted to get ahead of time because I feel like when I get in here in the morning, I'm rushing too much. So I'm trying to not do that. So I was kind of preempting, and I was just like, at some points, it's like you have to prioritize certain time as a resource, and I got to allocate those resources properly. And so obviously the skeleton's still going to be playing, and I will try to add stuff when I have time.
And I'm sure many people understand that with you saying that, including the great Brian Henshin, who I believe will be working in St. Louis sometime soon, if he wants to, for the record. Doug Joseph said bingo. I don't know what he was saying bingo to.
What's his name, though?
Thank you. That's correct. Afton Soccer Guy said, will you guys be paying $20 a month for the cards for FanDuel? I saw that release.
Lead story tomorrow, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm probably actually going to text Bill DeWitt III. I would love to have him on.
That'd be great.
I'm actually making a guest request. I think it would be so good if he came in studio for an hour because he's really a good guy. But he's labeled as one thing. I'm not bullshitting you. This isn't like, I need to get him on for the show, and I need that way I'll keep my job. It's not it. He just is a good guy, and I think he just. And Martin feels like, because Martin was one doing the interview where he said, fans. It was taken out of context. It absolutely was taken out of context. And Martin's like, yeah, it was taken out of context, but he speaks so freely. I'd love to know. I'd like to know what they're getting from this new deal. That's a really important thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that information's out there yet. Like to go from 75 million to 70 million, okay. To go from 75 million to 25 million, we got a problem. Right. All right, I gotta get on my call here in 3 minutes. I want to try to go through everything, and then we gotta go. I know plenty of Lemmings who are fellow Billikens. That's a Crestwood Coyote. Yeah, well, that's a tip of the cap because their head basketball coach is an awesome, awesome guy, and I hope that he kills it. Danny Kurth, a PR masterclass today, gents. Wow.
Thank you, brother.
Coming from him and the industry he's in.
Thank you.
That's dead serious, Danny, if you're still watching. I was actually considering contacting you when I knew this stuff was going to go down.
Yeah,
I don't think I told anybody that, but I really was, because I'm like, is there anything that can be done? Because it's like I know it's coming. Lived through it before. This is probably going to be one of the bigger ones. I don't know. And I was legitimately thinking. So for him to say that, I didn't even know he was watching. That's great, because I don't know. I don't even know what I've said for the last 2 hours. Is the Who's Grifting segment over? Oh, it better not be.
It's similar to So Where Your Grandma Think. When the time
When there's
comes,
a grift.
Yeah. The problem is, clearly people aren't on board with the grift. If the last couple of days have told you anything, so I don't know. Maybe my job isn't doing well.
Does Jackson live with Tim? I don't know what that means.
I do not. I have my own
but
place.
no. Chairman Kurt says, I effing hope not. Yeah, because that would break up the alliance if we were living together.
That would be weird.
The Fast Lane said they couldn't understand what Jackie Boy was still doing at the office during their show, but then they started talking Steph versus Tatum right after that.
And they didn't hit me up? The fuck?
I appreciate I mean, shit. I wasn't expecting this. This large of a. I mean, I figured I knew people, and I didn't want to do it without the YouTube. I wanted to be, and I'm just like, I'm going to tell the story from what I can tell. If I could give you numbers, I could give you numbers, and it would help further explain everything. Bottom line is, you might not like me, and I understand it. And I really do mean that. I get it. I really do. I mean, my wife and I, we talk about it, like I'm fucked in the head. So I'm not for everybody. And I mean that not like self-deprecating. It's just like, no, I am fucked in the head. But for whatever reason, my guiding principle is I'm not going to bullshit the audience, much less people in my life. You can't come back from that, So you don't like it. You don't like me. That's fine. That's the deal. That comes with doing what I do. But I'm not going to act unethically, like getting people whacked for my own interest. Fuck off. Keep me in HD2 forever. I don't give a fuck. And if my guys, that's you come for my guys, we got a situation. And I'm not saying they came for it. It wasn't like that. But like so that's why that day was not a day of celebration.
Right.
But don't have a fucking thing to apologize for. Don't have a fucking thing to apologize for. I don't know if anybody's asking me to, by the way. But if anything, if you're a fan of the show, I would hope the last few days you're like, okay, they're going to have these breaks. They're going to fix the breaks. These guys are still going to do their shit. We went there because they want to change. We're not going there because they want to change us. And if that's what it was, they couldn't offer me enough money in the world to do it. That should be what you remember. Time for us to go. For Jackson Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been the Tim McKernan Show podcast.